Okay. Sorry, apologies. Please mute your microphone. You can turn off your camera if you want. Apologies. We need to quickly set up so that people can join. Sorry, apologies. Please, so that people can join the call. All right. So we move on. We are currently at the example that we're trying to give, and I'm going to read out the example. I said a financial institution has implemented the management system. The auditor or audit team is required to verify whether the company complies with the requirements of ISO management system. This time around, we are not doing we are not attaching this example to any ISO. We are not attaching it to any. We are just trying to come up with how do we actually conduct an audit and achieves its intended outcome. For instance, one of the requirements of ISO management system is to establish, communicate, and make available a quality management policy. Now, as an auditor, I always say it every time I have the opportunity to speak, that the way an auditor reads a requirement is different from a way some implementer or any other person will read. One of the key and important attributes of an auditor is attention to detail. You need to be able to pay attention to detail. In a single line, in a single sentence, there could be potential 5 or 6 criteria that you need to comply with. And that is why you need to have that ability to be able to pay attention to every detail, attention to understanding what you are reading. Now, in this particular example, this financial institution wants has implemented the management system. And one of the requirements of the management system is that they should establish, communicate, and make available quality management policy. To an ordinary person, this is just a straight line requirement: establish, communicate, and make available. But to an auditor who pays attention to you know that there are 3 different criteria to be met here. It is one thing for you to establish a management system. It's another thing for you to communicate that management system, and it's another thing for you to make available the management policy. The establishment is 1, the communication is 2, the availability is 3. So if I, as an auditor, wants to evaluate their compliance to this particular standard, I need to look at, has this thing been established? So here I said requesting the documented information of the communicated quality management policy. Has it been established? Do we even have it? Oh, it has been established. By who? What are the process of establishing this quality policy? Has it been approved by the appropriate body, by the appropriate individual, by the appropriate office? That is there. Now, after the establishment, has it been communicated? What is the mode of communication? Oh, the policy has been laminated and placed at every strategic places within the organization. Oh, the policy has been communicated via email to interested parties, internal and external. Oh, the policy has been made available on our website. The policy has been communicated via our social media handles. And the third one is it now available? You agree with me that communication is one thing, availability is another thing. It is very possible for me to communicate a particular standard to you, and by tomorrow, that standard is no longer available. Is it available for retrieval at every point in time or when needed? Say, observing its availability to relevant parties. When I need this standard, when I need this thing to carry out my duty, do I have access to it? So that is how we look at, that is the how we use in looking at what? At an audit. That is how we look at an audit. We have said earlier that audit is an assessment that is based on evidence and fact. And this assessment does not just do, it's not just an assessment for assessing sake. It highlights the strengths and weaknesses of the audited organization or what? Or the system. So we move on. Now, I have said earlier before, and I said there are quite a number of audits that we can perform. I mentioned the financial audit, the IT audit, the operational audit, the quality management audit, all of those kind of audits. But according to ISO 19011, audits are now divided into two, basically. Audits are divided into, let me put it like this, are two. Yes. We have the internal audit and we have the external audits. Now, there is now further broken down into three. We have the internal audit, first party audit, second party audit, and third party audit. I'm going to explain. Now, internal audit, what does internal audit mean? In my next slide, I think there is the definition is there. But internal audit is when an organization audits its own self. Every one of us, a lot of us on this call are internal auditor. What it means is that you have the competence, you have the capacity, you have the capability to audit your own system. Oh, as an internal auditor, I want to go and conduct the audit of operations. You want to go and conduct the audit of your information security management system audit. You want to go and conduct your IT audit internally. As an internal auditor, you cannot go to, I am an internal auditor in Bello and Bello Enterprise. I cannot go to a Microsoft if I am not engaged and say, I want to come and audit you. There is nothing that is bringing us together. We don't have anything in common. I just go where one day I just get up from my bed and I decided that today I want to go and audit Google because I am an internal auditor. It is not done. Now, we now have the second part, the external audit. This external audit is now what? Is now divided into like two. Say the second party audit and the third party audit. Internal audit is always a first party audit as far as ISO is concerned. The second party audit and the third party audit is regarded as what? As external audit. External audit, the second party audit is now talking about an organization is audited by its own customer. Or you as an organization, you are auditing your vendor. For instance, in every of the service level agreements that we have, a lot of SLAs that we sign today say, we have the right to audit you, or right to be audited is included in the clause of the SLA. When you are going to audit your vendor, you are going there as a second party because you have something in common. You have the ability and the opportunity to audit them because you understand that probably the risk that they are carrying might one way or the other affect you, or the risk you are carrying might one way or the other affect them. And also, as a customer, I am your customer, and I have the clause that I can audit you. Yes, it is a second party audit. I am not in any way your employee, but I am your customer. I can come and audit you. Organization audits its own supplier and the likes. That is basically second party audit. And then we now talk about the third party audit. This is the independent. A third party audit is when the organization is audited by an independent organization entirely. This second party is always like, oh, certification audit, accreditation audit, statutory audit, regulatory audit, and any similar audit. When you operate in Nigerian capital market, for instance, and SEC decided that they want to come and audit you, is a third-party audit. When Central Bank of Nigeria decided that they want to come and audit you as a financial institution, they are an independent organization that want to confirm whether you are complying to their regulations. It's a third-party audit. Okay, so we move on. The next slide is going to, the next slide is going to be telling us just the definition of everything that I have explained. So internal audits, the internal audit, also known as the first party audit, is an independent and objective activity that gives the organization an assurance on the level of control over operations, gives recommendations to improve operations, and contributes to creating and adding value. Take note of that last word, creating and adding, and creating added value. As an auditor today, I am confidently saying it, and I can say it anywhere. If you audit a system today, and that system, there is no point at which you contribute and add value to the improvement of that system, you have not conducted an audit. The audit of today, you have not conducted an audit. You are simply the old definition of an auditor that looks for problem. It is essential that an auditor, when you come, you don't just look for what has gone wrong. You also look for what could be done well. What could this organization have done well? What could they do better so that they can improve? They can move from this particular level to the other. So in continuation, internal audits are conducted by or for the organization itself for the purpose of management review and other internal needs. Independence must be demonstrated by the absence of responsibility in the activities to be audited. We're going to be talking about that when we get to the principles of auditing. And we talk about external audits. Now, I say external audits includes audits known as second and third party audit. I've also explained this in the previous slide. Important notes. I said third-party audits are performed by auditors who are external to and independent of the auditee. I'm using some words here for those who are listening. For those who are newbie, they'll be here. Oh, which one is auditee? Who is an auditee? Who is this? We'll get to some terms and definitions that's going to bring you up to speed. Oh, so we now get to this place. We talk about involved parties here. Who is an auditor? A person that conducts an audit, isn't it? A person based on competence, experience, exposure, that has the capability to conduct an audit. Your capacity might be just to conduct one single audit, and we're going to get there. So who is an audit team? An audit becomes an audit team when you are more than one. It becomes an audit team when you are more than one. Then, who is a technical expert? A technical expert is a person who provides specific knowledge or expertise to the audit team. Now, one of my keywords, one of my mantra, one of my words I always speak at every point in time is that one of the persons that you need to train the most as an organization, if there are CEOs listening, they should listen and listen good. One of the staff that should be trained the most is your internal auditor. Auditors should not sit. They should continuously be learning. Now, let us leave the part of the CEOs aside. As an auditor yourself, one of the things you can do for yourself, one of the things you can do to help yourself is to continuously learn. You learn, relearn, and unlearn. You learn, you continuously learn. Because I always say it everywhere I get to, I say, what good is it for you to want to audit a system that you don't know, that you know nothing about? What it means is that you will not even know your left from your right. And now, ISO 19011 has given us the opportunity that, yes, it is possible. No one is an island of knowledge. It is possible for you not to know it all. There is now an opportunity for you to have what we refer to as a technical expert. I'm opportune to be speaking to someone sometimes ago, and I said IT audit came as let me put it like this, that it came as a technical and a specialized audit. It is not everybody that can conduct IT audit. You need to understand some you need to know some you need to have some basic understanding of how system works, infrastructure works, before you say, oh, let me go and audit the IT system of this particular organization. Now, as an auditor whose life has been from financial to financial, from financial to financial, and you subject that person to go and conduct an IT audit, ISO 19011 say that it is possible for you not to know it. Now, you need the service of someone that is called a technical expert. That technical expert is now going to provide specific knowledge to the things that you don't know. You work together with the technical expert to deliver that audit. So here I say organization or person that is requesting an audit is called the audit client. And an auditee is organization as a whole or part thereof that is being audited. When an organization can be an auditee, or the part of the organization that is being audited can be an auditee. But when we're talking about the audit client, the organization or the person that is requesting an audit. If I call doctor now to say, doctor, come and audit my system, I am the audit client and doctor is the auditor. And when doctor decides to say, oh, I cannot conduct this audit alone, I need 2 or more people, they become an audit team that needs an audit team leader. And when they now get in, so they discover that, oh, this audit requires that I need a forensic auditor, someone who understands what forensic is, that can help us to dig deep, digital forensic or whatsoever, and it brings in that person becomes a technical expert for that particular audit. So, okay, we move on. We've spoken about all of this. Then here, in my terms and definition, we talk about audit plan, say description of activities and arrangement of an audit. And we also talk about the audit criteria, set of requirements that is used as reference against which objective evidence is compared. Audit criteria. Don't forget, in the beginning of this class, we mentioned some criteria. We said a financial institution is trying to comply, or a financial institution has implemented a particular management standard, and that management standard requires that they do A, B, and C. That A, B, and C is the criteria. And now you are now checking to see if they have done this A, B, and C with the objective evidence. I said it earlier. So whatever audit you perform must be evidence-based. So some of the requirements, here in my slide, if the audit criteria are legal, including statutory or regulatory requirement, the words they use is compliance or non-compliance are often used in the audit findings. For instance, you are conducting a legal audit, a statutory regulatory audit, say, oh, they comply or they do not comply. And part of the requirements that could be used as criteria could include their policy, procedure, work instructions, contractual obligations, and the likes. Okay, so now we get to a simple scenario here. Say, identifying the audit rules. ABC Bank has hired Verify Limited, an accredited certification body, to conduct an ISO 27001 audit for its IT department. Please read this thing very well, because I'll be asking questions here, and I'm going to be looking at the chat box to see who is going to give me the answer. Say, the bank's head of compliance also sits in to observe. A cybersecurity specialist from the bank joins the verified team to explain technical system. Say, fill in the rows below. Who is who? Who is the audit client? From the definitions that we've given earlier in the previous slide, who is the auditee? Who is the auditor? And who is the technical expert? Let me look, let me check who is Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm seeing responses. Just drop it. Drop your response. I'll just be looking, picking at random. Okay, Peace said ABC Limited is the audit client. ABC Limited is the audit client. ABC Limited is the audit client. That is very correct because the ABC Limited is the one that invited Verify Rights Limited to come and what audit them. They invited them, and we need to take note of something very, very important. ABC Bank rather did not invite Verify Limited to come and audit the entire bank. So let us see. Let's check again. Fine. ABC Bank is the audit client. That is correct. For everyone that mentioned ABC Bank as the audit client, very, very correct. Now, who is the auditor? The auditor is Verify Limited. That is, in fact, that is straightforward, right? Because you will not manufacture your auditor from heaven, or you manufacture the auditor on earth here. It is written right there in front of us that Verify Right is the auditor, is their certification body that have been invited to come and do. Now, the question here is now, who is the auditee? Who is the auditee? Let me see. Who is the auditee? Okay, Taufik said the auditee is the IT department. Taufik said auditee is the IT department. Is there anybody else that have another answer different from the IT department being the auditee? Okay, someone said head of compliance is the auditee. I love that. Let's keep it rolling. Someone said head of compliance is the auditee. Okay, HMD Global said ABC Bank IT department is the auditee. Okay, good. Now, if you chose head of compliance as the auditee, you did not get it right. But if your answer is the IT department is the auditee, because in my explanation, I said audit clients invited you to come and audit. Now, it could be in two ways. You could be auditing the entire organization or a part of its own process. Now, in this case, ABC Bank has invited Verify to come and audit his IT department. Don't put your eye inside my operations. I am not sending you to the financial department. There is nothing, you have nothing to do with treasury. You have nothing to do with this product. What I want you to audit is the IT department, and that by default makes IT department the auditee. Now, and the last part is the technical expert. Thank you, Shegun Joyegbe. He said, a technical expert is cybersecurity specialist from ABC. I have said earlier, I said someone who provides expertise to the audit team. Verify Limited, I've seen that, oh, okay, we may not have the capacity. We don't even understand their infrastructure yet. We don't understand how their databases are being set up. We don't understand all of this. We need someone that is going to work, that's going to explain how all of these things put together so we can conduct a proper audit. And then ABC said, take Shegun Joyegbe as the technical experts to what? To put you through the things that you don't know. So Shegun Joyegbe has technical experience in IT. He understands cybersecurity, so it's going to point them to the right direction. Okay, so that is that about the scenario. So we all know it now that the audit client is the ABC bank, the auditee is the IT department, the auditor is Verify, and the technical expert is cyber security. I hope we are learning. I hope we are learning. I hope we are learning. Okay, so we move on. We continue with the terms and definition. We talk about objective evidence. As an auditor, there is one thing that you should never joke with, and that thing is documentation of your evidence. Do not joke with evidence. I'm going to be, anytime I teach, I like sharing my own experience. I like sharing my experience. Now, it said, objective, say data supporting existence or variety of something. Objective evidence can be obtained through observation, measurement, test, or by other means. Objective evidence for the purpose of the audit generally consists of records, statements of facts, and other information that are what? Verifiable. Now, someone asked me sometimes ago that, can you take an interview with someone as an objective evidence? I said, yes. If you have, if it is documented. When I want to conduct an interview with you, I say, sorry, I crave your indulgence. I'll be needing this particular discussion to be recorded. I am not recording so that I can put chain in the person's hand, but I'm recording because at the end of the day, that particular interview could serve as my objective evidence to leading to a particular non-conformity, leading to a particular lapse in the system. Objective evidence could also be records, screenshots, documents. But in all, as an auditor, make sure that whatever thing you have identified can be what? Verifiable with an objective evidence, with evidence. And anything that you call an evidence that is not verifiable is not an evidence, because you will explain where you get it from. So here I'm going to talk about management system, set of interrelated or interacting elements of an organization to establish policies and objectives and processes to achieve those objectives. Now, because today we are talking about the guidelines for auditing management system. And that's where we are not talking about what management system is. Management system is set of interrelated or elements of an organization to establish policy and objective and the process to achieve those objectives. Now, a management system can address one single discipline or several disciplines. I've said it earlier that ISO, as far as I'm concerned, has a lot of management standards. We have mentioned a few of them: information security, quality management, occupational health and safety, environmental management, artificial intelligence management system, and the likes. So when we, part of the things that you are going to be looking at in the management system, it establishes the organization structure. There are roles and responsibilities. There are planning, operations, policy, practices, rules. Now, when we get to in some of this management system, ISO 19000, I so much love ISO because they make things quite easy. For every of the management standard that we have, as far as I'm concerned, they have 10. Yes, I always say they have 10 clauses. But clause 1 to 3 are not auditable. Clause 4 to 10 are auditable. We have some management standards that has what we refer to as the harness controls. For instance, ISO 27001 has an additional control. Now, in the management system, we have clause 4 that talks about the context of the organization. We have clause 5 that talks about the leadership. We have clause 6 that talk about the planning. We have clause 7, clause 8, operations, clause 9, clause 10, and the likes. But that is not that's not the objective for today's class. So let us move on. So we talk about risk. Forget everything that I've seen here. I always say risk is likelihood multiplied by impact. And here I said effect of uncertainty. An effect is a deviation from expected, either positive or negative. So here, good, I put it here. So risk is often expressed in terms of combination of the consequences of an event and the associated likelihood of occurrence. That's likelihood and impact. What is the tendency that this thing will happen? What's the tendency that my pen will be stolen? Now, if my pen is stolen, what is the impact it's going to have in me? What's the impact it will have? What's the likelihood that a stone in a construction firm, for instance, in a construction settings, what is the likelihood that a block will fall from the third floor to the ground floor? Now, when block falls and it falls on someone's head, what could be the impact on the person, on the business, on the organization? That is risk. And then we talk about competence. Competence is the ability to apply knowledge and skill to achieve intended results. We talk about process. Process is a set of interrelated or interacting activities that use input to deliver an intended result. Performance is a measurable result. And then key performance indicators, measures associated with goals or targets, showing how well an organization is achieving its objective. Now, we'll talk about conformity, fulfillment of a requirement. In ISO, we use, let me put it like this, that we use two basic words that you come across these words a lot. You come across conformity and non-conformity. Or you say conformance and non-conformance. You are going to be coming across that word. What does conformance mean? What does conformity mean? It means fulfillment of a requirement. When the management standard says you need to document quality management policy, and based on objective evidence of the auditor, you can confirm that you have documented your quality management policy. It is documented that you have conformed with the requirement of the standard. You have conformed with what? With the requirements of the standard. So we move to non-conformance. Say non-conformance is non-fulfillment of a requirement. Now, before we get to containment, I'm going to tell you this non-conformance is now subdivided into two. Non-fulfillment of a requirement. Non-conformance is subdivided into two. It is either major non-conformity or minor non-conformity. Now, I said major non-conformity is a conformity that affects the capability of the management system to achieve its intended result. Now, I'm going to bring this down to the level of, let's say, internal auditor. We have, whenever you are rating your audit exception, you have critical, high, medium, low. Right? So that is basically, now when you look at it, when you put all of them together, you say, oh, all of these are what are gaps, all of these are exceptions, but this exception, they have impact. The impact of an high or a critical exception is different from the impact the low exception is going to have on the business. I hope you agree with me. So that is basically, major non-conformity. Where is the conformity that affects the capability of the management system to achieve because of this, the management system cannot achieve its intended outcome. That is regarded as major non-conformity. Now, when we go to minor non-conformity, so minor non-conformity is saying that, this conformity does not affect the capability of the management system to achieve its intended outcome, but it's more like a lab. This particular non-fulfillment of the requirement will not affect or entirely affect the fulfillment of the objective. But if you continuously do it, if you do it in multiple occasions, putting all of those things together could achieve. Now, if you, should I say, if you give me a knock on my head, I can maybe feel it and then just take it off. But imagine when 1,000 persons knocks me concurrently. That is the difference between major and minor. I'm just trying to use something that is relatable to bring this understanding to us. In ISO, when a minor non-conformity continues to reoccur, we call it repeated findings. It reoccurs. Last year you audited the system, you discover that it is there. they said, oh, we have closed it. This year again, you come again, you audit the same system, it is there again. Then it becomes a repeated findings. Then you can be regarded as what? As a major non-conformity. They said a number of minor non-conformity against one requirement in different departments, function, processes can be grouped together as a major non-conformity. Now, for instance, in the policy, organizational policy, it is stated that every department must what? This is basically agile. Let's put it this way. Let's use one of these. I say, oh, every department must conduct their stand-up meeting in the morning, every morning for 15 minutes. Documented, approved, communicated across the organization. And you discover that this organization has 12 departments. Out of the 12 departments, it's only 2 departments that conforms to this requirement. You go to department C, where is the evidence of your daily stand-up? We not get. Department D, department F, you get to like about 10 departments out of 12. Then you can group all of these things together and then report it as major non-conformity to what? To daily stand-up as documented by their process. Now we quickly go back to containment. Now, containment is an action to control and mitigate the impact of non-conformity. Now, when you have identified that, oh, something is happening, now the action that is being carried out immediately by the organization to contain a non-conformity is called containment. Oh, this is a non-conformity. Currently, we want to contain this non-conformity. We don't want it to go beyond this. What do we need to do? What do we need to close this non-conformity? Oh, we need to what? We need to, for instance, okay, let me put it this way. I am supposed to go for a training, and then that training is very critical. The auditor comes and identify this as what? As a non-conformity. And immediately the organization look for the training partner and enroll me for the training. That is an action to what? To curtail and mitigate the impact of the non-conformity. Oh, immediately he has been enrolled for the training. So we have non-conformity reports also as far as our ISO is concerned. Without our non-conformity report, it's a document that is stating the results and providing the objective evidence of non-conformity against audit criteria. Now we look at the root cause, say the original event, action, and or condition generating directly or in cascade an actual potential undesirable condition, situation of non-conformity or failure. Now, root cause analysis is what you do. Oh, sorry, we are not talking about root cause analysis now. We are talking about root cause. Root cause is that event that led to the non-conformity. Now, I am supposed to go for training. An auditor identifies that I have not gone for the training, and this training is very critical. Or let us use regulatory filing, for instance. The organization is expected to file something at the end of March, let's say March 20th. It is expected that they file this report March 20th of every year. But when the auditor comes in April 5th, he observes that this particular filing has not been done. And then the next thing they do is what? To immediately quickly put in process together and file the report. That's containment, so that they will not be fined, right? Now, what is the root cause? What is the actual thing that makes that filing not to be sent out as and when due? That is the root cause. So the organization sit down to say, what are the things, what are the events that is leading to the non-filing of this particular requirement? They begin to put all of those things together and say, oh, this is the root cause. And it is important to state that there are several root causes. It is possible that there could be several root causes to one problem. Now, let me quickly give you an instance. The person that files this report resigns from the organization and there is no succession planning. That is a root cause, because there is nobody that understands and can do what that person is doing. So it is identified. One, succession planning is there. Now, they dig further to say, oh, maybe we could have been able to salvage the situation, but there was no reminder. Because this person has been doing it over the years, he already knows subconsciously, consciously, that filing has become part and parcel of him. That filing has become part of his objectives and KPI. It has become part of the things that he knows that he's supposed to do. Now, there is no reminder of any sort to, let's say, first party, and then reminder escalates when that thing, when the filing has not been done, to the next line in action. It escalates again, maybe to the highest authority, which is maybe the managing director of the organization. Oh, that is also identified. So you can see two root cause have been identified to one particular issue, which is non-filing as at when due. So that's what they are saying here, that there could be several root causes to one problem. There could be several root causes to one problem. So somebody is asking on YouTube if they could have the slides. Yeah, the slides is going to be made available. Just reach out to the school and then they will tell you the procedure to getting the slides. Thank you. Okay, so we move on. So planned activities. So that means planned activities, that the means, method, and internal requirement by which organization intends to achieve a planned result. There are certain words that they are very straightforward. Planned activities are how do we want to achieve this thing? How do we want to achieve this particular result? How do we want to achieve our objective? And then the planned result is the intended performance of a process as determined and measured by the organization. Another key words that we need to look at is the process effectiveness assessment report. Before, we mentioned the non-conformity report. Non-conformity report is stating the non-conformance alongside with the requirements, alongside with the objective evidence. Now, when you say a particular organization process is effective, we also have a report that talks about the process effectiveness, and this is where we refer process effectiveness assessment report. Is the document that is stating the evaluation results, providing evidence of conformity to requirements and process effectiveness. Now we talk about combined audits. Today, I always like to call it integrated audit, but combined audit is when two or more management systems of different fields are audited together. Someone asked me some time ago, he said, my organization wants to implement three different management standards. And he said, do they have to conduct 3 different audits for each of these management standards? I said, no, there is something that is called combined audit. For instance, an organization wants to implement ISO 27001, which is information security, ISO 22301, which is business continuity, and ISO 9001, which is quality management. And then you don't need to go and look for documents ISO 27001 separate, look for ISO 27001 auditor, and you audit, write his report, you keep it. You look for business continuity auditor, you document business continuity separate. No, there is what we refer to as combined audit. That means you put all of these audit management standards together because they are one way or the other related. And I said it earlier, I said management standard has 10 basic clauses, from clause 4 to clause 10 are auditable. So clause 4 in ISO 27001 is the same clause 4 in ISO 22301. It is just that it is adapted to the context to which the standard is referring to. For instance, when ISO 27001 is talking about information security in their clause 4, context of the organization, and it's talking about information security, ISO 22301 will be referring to business continuity. So when managing a combined, special attention should be given to the competence of the audit team. Make sure to have audit team members who collectively have the skills necessary to assess the conformity with various management systems being audited. One person can have multiple management lead auditor certificate. One person can have the competence to audit all of those management standards. And if it is difficult to get a person that will be able to audit, then it is very important that you have an audit team that has the capacity and the competence to audit all of these standards. You don't go and carry someone who is specialized in auditing ISO 27001 and you ask that person, Okay, I will answer this question. Can a non-accounting student graduate become an auditor? I'm going to tell you my story after this slide. Okay, so I said a person, you don't carry someone who has information expertise in information security, and you say because that person has the expertise, skill, the competence to audit information security, now you now give the person business continuity to audit. No, you don't conduct an audit like that. You ensure that your team, the audit team, has the competence to carry out these combined audits. So there's also the tab that is called the joint audit. The joint audit is when two or more auditing organization cooperates to audit a single entity. It is called joint audit. When EY and Deloitte come together to audit Bello and Bello Limited, it is called joint audit. There is a difference between combined audit and joint audit. Combined audit is when you merge management standards together. Joint audit is when two auditing organizations comes together to conduct an audit. Okay, so someone asked, can non-accounting student graduate become an auditor? So before we move to the principles of auditing, yes and yes. As of today, when you look at my profile, you will see that just because if you join earlier, you would have seen, oh, I've deployed multiple systems multiple systems, control, compliance, auditing systems. I have live systems that are working. I am not an accounting student. I am not an accounting graduate. I graduated as a computer engineer. I studied computer engineering in school. It's funny, right? Now, but how did I move to become an auditor? As at that time, IT audit is an emerging field. I have expertise, I have the experience of managing IT systems, IT infrastructures, but I have flair for audit. I love audit. In fact, I have the opportunity to be in an audit department of a particular organization that I work with as at that time. And they love the way I very good with Microsoft Excel. I have all of those things. And just by doing one, two, we want this kind of person in the internal auditing because he has this experience. And when the opportunity for IT audit comes up, I already have IT. I know about IT. So what is the next thing to do is to get some understanding as per auditing. So combine both together, my IT experience with my training in internal audit. I put both of them together and I become an IT auditor. So from an IT auditor, you can then decide to branch. You can decide to remain an IT auditor. You can decide to be an ISO auditor. You don't need accounting expertise. You don't need an accounting graduate to be an ISO auditor. I have a lot of students who are marketing. I have a lot of students who are from engineering. I have a lot of students who are also from accounting. You don't need an account to audit information security. You don't need an accounting background to audit business continuity. You don't need an accounting background to audit quality. You only need an understanding, you need training, you need competence, you need the certificate that, oh, this person is a certified lead auditor or this person is competent to audit this particular management standard to be an auditor. And then from there, you can always branch, you can always continuously improve yourself. And I have said earlier, and I'll reiterate again that one thing an auditor can do for himself or herself is to continuously learn. The day you stop learning as an auditor, that day the auditor starts dying. Because things keep on changing. The way you will audit systems 10 years ago, 10 years ago. Financial, in fact, let's even come to the financial part. The same way you audit financial books 10 years ago is different from the way you are going to audit it today. It's quite different. And what is now the what's the fate of those persons that feel like, oh, I have arrived, I am the best auditor, I don't need to learn anything again. The world is going to leave you behind, and you discover that those who are learning are moving ahead of you. Today, we are in the world of AI. We are in the world of AI today. What have you been doing? What are you doing? If you are asked to come and audit an artificial a system, that you have to come and audit a system, how do you even use artificial intelligence to also help you as an auditor. That is one thing. How do you audit an artificial intelligence system? What are the things that you need to look out for? So those are the things that we need to continuously learn. And I have said it earlier, if you're a CEO here, train your auditor. If you're an auditor here, learn continuously. Do not stop learning. Okay, so we move on. So here we're going to be talking about the principles of auditing as per ISO 19011 2018. So we're going to be talking about the 7 principles of auditing here today. And I think this is where we're going to be calling it a day. But we're going to make ourselves to understand what are the 7 principles of auditing that is highlighted in ISO 19011. The 7 principles are the ones you are seeing on the screen. We have integrity, we have fair presentation, due professional care, confidentiality, independence, evidence-based approach, and risk-based approach. My slide says principles to be followed to make audit effective and reliable. Principles to follow to make audit effective and reliable. Adherence to this principle is a prerequisite for providing audit conclusions that are relevant and sufficient, and for enabling auditors working independently from one another to reach similar conclusions in similar circumstances. Now, if you put in all of these 7 principles together and you audit a particular system independently, if another person comes to that system, see, I love audits so much that if I audit a system today and I identify 7 labs in that system, if another person comes the next 2 days, that person identifies, let's say 9. You observe that the person identifies more than me, but out of the 9 the person will identify, you will discover that at least 4 will be the same thing that I did. At least 4. So that is auditors that have implemented or followed, adhere to these principles. We are looking at the same system. We are interviewing the same set of persons. We are using the same standard. So what stops us from having the same audit findings? Nothing. But if I am biased, for instance, and I see black, I call it white. Now, when an unbiased auditor comes, when he sees the white and he says white, so there are 2 contradicting audit reports already, because somebody failed to do something, somebody failed to be independent, or somebody fails to be honest. You understand? Now, when I want to present and I presented wrongly, and the next auditor presents correctly, there are 2 different audit reports for the same process because someone fails to do the right thing. That is what the 7 principles of auditing is going to be telling us. So today, we'll be looking at each of those principles one after the other. We're going to be looking at integrity first. We're going to be looking at integrity. So integrity is the foundation of professionalism. Integrity is the foundation of professionalism. This is according to clause 4 of the guideline. Said integrity auditor must act ethically, honestly, and responsibly at all times, regardless of pressure from any party. Regardless of pressure from any party, auditors must act ethically, honestly, and responsibly. And some of the things that you need to do, key obligations of an auditor to say, oh, this is exhibiting the principle of integrity, is you need to perform your work ethically with honesty and responsibility. You only audit where you are competent to do so. Don't forget, earlier today, we have mentioned technical expertise. You don't want to show yourself as the King Kong. Oh, I can do all things. Yes, Christians will say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Fine, that's fantastic. You can do all things. The Muslims will say, "He did not surat al-mustaqim." God shows you the way. Yeah, God can show you the way, right? But there is one thing that you need to understand, that if you do not have it, you do not have it. Don't assume you have it. You can go and improve yourself. Don't take up audit that you know you are not competent to do. You don't know how to, you don't even understand what a profit and loss statement is. You don't know what a statement of financial entails, and you want to go and audit financial system. What do you know that they are doing there? You do not know just simple what Active Directory is. You do not know simple access control matrix also. You want to go and audit IT audit. What do you want to go and do there? Do not take what you know you are not competent enough to do. Instead, ask for technical expertise. As for technical experts, I have said it earlier, you can continuously improve yourself, but when you know you are not competent enough to carry out an audit, do not. So it follows the principle of integrity. Imagine I being called upon to say, "Oh, Shegun, please, we want you to help us audit these are financial books and all of that." I say, "Okay, I've heard you. Auditing the financial books. While I don't have the competence to audit this financial book, I don't know if I am allowed to come in with a technical expert that's going to do this. We'll do this work together." And if the business is okay with it, they say, "Oh, go ahead, bring in your technical expert, let the person come and audit it." It's better than me saying, "I can do it, don't worry." And then at the end of the day, I am mixing A plus B plus C. When I look at the books, I don't even understand. I don't know what a journal is. I don't know what a ledger is. I don't know what profit and loss is. I don't understand anything. And I said I want to audit financials. So auditor must remain fair and unbiased, impartial in all dealings. Resist any influence that could sway your judgments. Auditor should resist, if you know that there is anything that's going to impair your objectivity, there's anything that's going to affect your truthful delivery, state it. You resist any influence that could sway your judgment, that could help, that will not make you report objectively. So now we are let's look at the real world example of what an integrity. Say Maria, a lead auditor, discovers the purchasing department managed by her brother-in-law. Look, let's take a look at this thing critically. Maria, a lead auditor, discovers the purchasing department managed by her brother-in-law has bypassed the approved supplier list. Integrity demands she documents the major non-conformity, present it at closing, and ensure it appears in the report without dilution. I always say it everywhere. Maybe we'll get to, when we get to the other principles of auditing, we are going to talk about it. What do you do when you audit a system that requires you to write a report against your own wife or your spouse that it should be laid off or sacked? What do you do in that regard? Are you going to fine-tune the report such that the offense is not going to look big so that they will still retain him or her? Or you will state it as is and say, "Fire my wife," or "Fire my husband," as an auditor? There is the principle of audit that helps us to overcome that. So don't be afraid. But if it is a must that you must do it, what are you going to do? Whose side are you going to be? Do not forget that this person is coming to under your roof to sleep. Oh. So you need to take note of that. So now, integrity requires you to perform your work ethically. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. Remain fair and unbiased. And you need to be sensitive to any influence that may be exerted on your judgment while carrying out your audit. You should resist any of those influences. So you say good, these are good, and they say report NC against a friend's department with full evidence. Decline to audit an area outside their competence, resist pressure to soften a finding before report is issued. Some people come and meet, oh, please now, the kind of words that you use, it's too this, it's too that. Why don't you write it like this so that the management will not see it as something big? Resist that. So those are influences that could sway your judgment. Then avoid omit a finding because the manager is a business partner. Accept gift from the auditee during the audit. We are going to talk about this gift policy. Audit a cybersecurity process with no IT knowledge. Those are the good and the bad part when it comes to integrity. So let's move on. We'll talk about fair presentation, the second one. Fair presentation. Now, say fair presentation is the obligation to report truthfully. The obligation to report truthfully. Obligation to report the right thing. Say findings, conclusions, and report must be truthfully and must truthfully and accurately reflect all audit activities, including obstacles and unresolved disputes. Now, there are about 6 qualities of fair report. One, the report must be truthful at every point in time. Say the truth. It must be accurate. Facts are verifiable and correctly attributed. I said it earlier that any audit that you are conducting must be evidence-based. Your audit must be what? Evidence-based. You don't just come up with an audit finding without evidence. So your audit must be what? Must be based on facts. Objective, grounded in evidence, not opinion. It's not like I feel like because they did not do this, so therefore automatically they will not do this. No. Then audit must be timely, issued within agreed time. Delay, if there is going to be any delay, you explain it. As an auditor, when you say I am conducting an audit and the audit report is going to be made available 24 hours after the completion of this audit, ensure that your audit report is timely. If there is going to be any delay, that delay is what is explained. Your audits must be what? Clear, in plain language, understandable to the audience. In plain language. Anybody reading your audit report should be able to understand, should be able to deduce what you are saying. Then your audit must be complete. Includes obstacles and unresolved diverging opinions. I think when we get to the last part, there is a question that always has that when there is an unresolved diverging opinion, oh, this thing is not like this. You have your objective evidence against a particular finding, and the auditee insists that you bring down that audit finding. What do you do? Do you soften it? Do you bring it down so that the auditee will not come after you and beat you at the end of the day? What do you do? But here it is expected that you report that findings. You report it. So you now include any obstacles, and if there are unresolved diverging opinion, oh, there is an opinion between myself, this is what I have observed, but this is the auditee's comment, this is what the audit, put everything in your audit report. Let it be plain, let it be clear. Example, say James finishes a 2-day audit, but the IT department refuses access to maintenance record. His report must state the following: A, the area was not covered. B, why? And C, the implication of audit conclusion. Omitting this violates fair presentation, even if everything else is accurate. So as per the principle of fair presentation, it is important to report explicitly states an area was not covered due to access denied and explain the implication. Oh, I was not granted access to a maintenance record. Hence, I could not validate if the maintenance record or maintenance procedure were carried out appropriately. Unresolved dispute between auditor and auditee is documented in the report. You document it for fair presentation. Auditor report issued within 5 days as agreed in the audit plan is part of fair presentation. You don't conduct an audit and you say you are going to make the audit report available after 2 days and the audit report is staying forever to come out. So we move to the next one, which is due professional care. Due professional care. So due professional care is a diligence and judgment in auditing. Diligence and judgment in auditing. So auditors must exercise care proportional to the importance of the task and confidence placed in them by audit clients and all interested parties. I always say something, I don't know if I'm right, but if I am wrong, correct me. Said the audit, you as an auditor or the audit department is a place of trust. If at any point in time, the business does not trust the auditor, there is a problem. It is expected, and that is why when we look at the 3 lines of defense, when you see the process owner being the first line of defense, you see the risk management, control, and compliance as the second line. You see the third line of defense as the internal audit that reports to the highest authority of the organization, either the board of directors. If the highest authority of that organization is the management, the auditor reports to the management. If the highest authority is the board of directors, it reports to the board. It's a place of integrity, it's a place of trust. It is expected that everybody that is placed in that role, that is asked to act in that particular line of defense, is being trusted. Hence, auditors must exercise care that is proportional to the importance of the task that is assigned to them. Now, imagine an organization placing confidence in an auditor, like go and help us to conduct this audit and come and give us a report. And at the end of the day, the audit report is doctored. Everything is the report is not the fair representation of the report is not fair. The auditor is not honest. Then you have what? You have not exercised care that is proportional to the importance, to the confidence that is placed in you as an auditor. And there are 3 dimensions to due professional care. 1, there is competence. Only audit what you are qualified to assess. Use technical expertise where needed. That is also you see that also has one leg with the integrity, right? Diligence, thorough preparation, review documents, plan carefully, and sample broadly. I am very sure that even though today we still say the internal audit or the audit team gives what? Reasonable assurance, because we are allowed to take we are allowed to take samples, and based on the sample that we have taken, we now use the sample to evaluate the behavior of the population. But today, with the advent of technology, as an auditor, do you think you need to take sample again? I don't think so. There are situations that you are going to evaluate 100% of the population and then come up with your reports. I will give you an instance. I am tasked with the responsibility of validating a particular set of information. This information is not entirely publicly available. Yes, there is one is publicly available. I am giving an organization with their TIN number. Then at that point in time, I cannot remember, but I knew that the information is publicly available. There is one thing, I can do it in 2 ways. Take sample audits out of the, let's say, the 1,000 population that was given to me. I can say, oh, let me just take like 100, which is like 10%, and then use that 10% to evaluate the relevance of the others. And I decided to say, no, I am not going to use that. I want to evaluate the whole 1,000. And I'm going to do it in less time when you are doing it manually, and I sit down, take out my drawing board, write my Python code, automates all of this um evaluation, automates it, and then in less than how many minutes I'm able to I come up with a conclusion on the population of the data that was given to me. So at that point in time, what have I done? What I have done is that no matter what, my reports will always be very unique. We can say no at every point in time. If this person says this population is black, nobody comes and say this population is red, because I have audited the 100. I have audited that population fully. This is not a sample review this time around. I have prepared, I have reviewed, I have planned. Then I did not just take sample. I took all. And that's why I said diligence, sample broadly. Take your time. If you cannot write code, it's not a must. But you take your time, you sample broadly. You don't just take one or two out of 1,000 and you decide, you determine that, oh, this is how everything looks like. Sample broadly. Now, the third one is reasoned judgment. Apply defensible professional judgment in ambiguous situation. There is what we refer to as professional judgment. We are given that chance to judge things professionally. Oh, based on my experience, based on what I have seen in other systems, this is how this is supposed to look like. So we look at the example, said Fatima, EMS auditor at the chemical plant, notices disposal log reference a third-party contractor outside her scope. Due care requires her to flag it, assess the risk, and report it to the team lead, not to ignore it because it is technically out of scope. That is what due professional care is going to do for you. Now, it does not mean, oh, because this thing is out of scope, and you know that if a risk is going to crystallize, it could happen from that particular third-party risk. It could be a third-party risk. So it is expected that you flag it, you assess the risk, and then you report it to your team lead. And then when you assess the risk, you discover that, oh, this risk is critical, the business can now decide to say, oh, please include it in your scope. Or, oh, we are going to have an entire audit that is going to, that you people will now have to evaluate this particular risk for us. So we move on to confidentiality. Oh, this word is big, is important, and is very, very, in fact, security of audit information. It says auditor must exercise discretion in the use and protection of all information acquired in the course of their duties. Why we have, as an auditor, why we have the audit charter that backs us up to say, oh, I can request for information and then be granted access to all of this information. There is something that you need to also do, which is the confidentiality clause. What it means is that you need to protect every information that is acquired during the course of an audit. It is not your documents. It is not your information. Every information acquired, you must exercise due diligence to ensure that it is appropriately protected. For instance, you are auditing a medical records, and you see a medical record of somebody that you know. It is not in your place to go and sit and say, do you know that do you know that I saw this person's medical record? Do you know he has typhoid? An auditor doesn't talk anyhow like that. You don't talk because, oh, you have access to information and you're now going to meet, oh, do you know that organization, do you know that you and Bola, you're on the same grade, but Bola is earning more than you? I saw it now. I saw it in the HR. I saw it when I was auditing this particular thing. Auditor doesn't talk like that. Every information that you acquire in the course of an audit is confidential. And that is why when I'm having my opening meeting, I always tell the audit client that do not be afraid. There is the principle of confidentiality that the internal audit is expected to abide by strictly. And then I can assure you that for every information that is going to be acquired during the course of this audit, will remain confidential and is going to be treated as confidential information all through, during the audit, and even after the audit. Because it's one thing for you to treat confidential information during the audit, the information as confidential during the audit. It's another thing for you to treat it confidential after the audit. Except when the auditee says, oh, this information is public knowledge, don't worry, you can say it, you can use it. But when that information is confidential, allow it to remain confidential. So what must be protected? Personal records and HR-related informations observed. Proprietary process, formula or trade secret encounter. Customer data and supplier pricing information revealed. Internal financial or performance data referenced in evidence. Information outside scope inadvertently seen. Someone said, during a farmer's supplier audit, an auditor sees a confidential formulation document on a desk outside the scope. She must one, not copy or photograph it, not reference it in the report. And if it reveals a safety risk, notify the audit team leader who consult the audit clients. For some organizations, there is what we refer to as the clear desk and the clear screen policy. In this case, you are conducting an audit and you see something on someone's table, it's out of your audit scope, right? It is not expected that you take pictures, you take this, you reference it. Instead, if you are the audit team lead, you meet with the audit clients. Oh, this information, if it goes out, could cause potential damage to the organization, as I have seen it, and it is carelessly placed on the table. Something should be done to it. So we move on to independence. Independence. So independence is impartiality and objectivity of the audit. Auditor must be independent of the activity being audited and act free from bias and conflict of interest in all audit activities. Auditor must be independent of the activity that is being audited and act free from bias. There are quite a number of bias that auditors face these days. A lot of them, we cannot mention them. Oh, is it the familiarity bias? All of those things. You act free from bias and conflict of interest in all auditors. When you know that there is conflict of interest, state it out. Now, there is the independence in mind. Somebody would always tell me, oh, there's the objectivity in mind and the objectivity in fact. There's also independence in mind, independence in fact. Are you truly independent? Here, I said 3 types of independence required. Structural, do not audit your own work or a process you are responsible for. Why? There's what we refer to as the self-review trait. Do not audit your own work or a process you are responsible for. You are responsible for approving payments in the organization, and you want to audit the process. You are the one that is still auditing payments. If something happens, are you going to report it? Will you report yourself? Financial, no financial stake in the audit outcome, bonuses, shares, contracts. No, you don't conduct and they say, come and conduct this audit. Before you conduct the audit, take this money. Just use it to buy anything that you like. You understand? Just use it for yourself. In one of my previous classes, I said, you want to go and conduct audit for an organization. And the next thing that you receive is a trip to, let's say, Dubai by the MD CEO, just appreciating you that you want to come and audit them. You obviously know that there is something that is fishy. And if you take that trip, it could impair your independence. It could impair your objectivity because somebody has taken you on a trip to Dubai, paid for your flight, paid for your shopping, and you are coming back to the organization to come and audit that. And you go, how do you want to tell me that you are going to be objective? So relational, disclose and manage personal relationship with auditee personnel. This is the part I am talking about. Initially, I asked the question, I said, what do you do when you are asked to audit a system that you know that maybe just by me looking at it, it will require you to recommend dismissal, require you to recommend sack for your spouse? What do you do at that point? This is disclose and manage personal relationship with auditing. Just disclose, oh, this particular audit you guys asked me to come and do, my wife is involved. Hence, I want to decline. I cannot conduct this audit so that I will be independent. Because how do you explain that you conduct an audit that sacks your own wife, or you conduct an audit that sacks your own husband? So in this case, you are given the opportunity to what? To disclose that this person is of personal relationship to me. And by so doing, I may not want to take up this audit finding because of the personal relationship that we have. It's my spouse. Oh, it's my brother-in-law. Oh, it's my business partner. For exceptions, small organization minimize bias and encourage objectivity, even where full independence is not possible. Yeah, there are some organizations that full independence might not be possible, but as an auditor, maintain objectivity, encourage it, maintain full independence. So I'm going to the reward example here. Say Ahmed, a safety man, is asked to audit the safety incident register. Listen, Ahmed, who is a safety manager, is asked to audit the safety incident register. His own team maintains this register. Independence means that he cannot audit it because it is his own process. You cannot report yourself. There is a self-review threat. Even if you report truthfully, there will still be that iota of I am the one in charge. I am reporting myself. Assign a qualified auditor from operations or quality instead. So we now move to evidence-based approach, rational and reproducible conclusion. Rational and reproducible conclusion. So audit conclusion must be based on verifiable evidence. I said it earlier that if you have an evidence that is not verifiable, that is not worthy to be called an evidence. Audit conclusion, sorry, excuse me. Audit conclusion must be based on verifiable evidence collected through a systemic process, not assumptions, not impressions, not hearsay. Oh, Titi Lopez said this person comes late to the office. Sorry, please. Okay, sorry. So now, evidence must be, audit conclusion must be based on verifiable evidence. It's not that this person said Tolu comes late to the office. You have access to the register. You can take a look, you can audit the register and see, verify yourself that Tolu actually comes late to the office. Evidence chain has 5 steps. You collect. How do you collect? There are multiple methods to collect. You can collect through interviews, through observation, through document review. You verify, check completeness, accuracy, consistency, correctness. You collect, you verify, then you sample, representative selection, judgment-based or statistical. Like I said earlier, I said these days, smart auditors don't sample again. They don't take representative selection again. They observe the whole population. They evaluate the entire population. Now, evaluate, assess evidence against the agreed audit criteria. The audit criteria says that our resumption time is 8 o'clock as documented in the human resource manual. And you are now evaluating Tolu's presence in the office or Tolu's attendance to the what? To the agreed criteria. And conclude, you reach a defensible, evidence-backed, reproducible conclusion. That reproducible conclusion means that if 1001 auditor comes into the system, carries your audit criteria, carries the same population that you use, they will come to the same conclusion that I have come to. Now, say auditors samples 12 calibration instruments from a population of 80 and finds 4 with overdue dates. She documents which instruments, cites the procedure and the criteria. She does not conclude that all 80 are non-conforming. Only the sample evidence supports the NC. She said, oh, out of the 80, I have sampled 12. Out of these 12, 4 are with overdue dates. The auditor does not say, oh, it was observed that the 80 calibration instruments are all overdue. No, you simply state that the 4 out of the sampled 12 are out or have what due date with overdue dates. And if peradventure you have the capacity to what to evaluate the whole 80, it will interest you to see that maybe out of the 80 you can get like 10 with overdue dates. But because you sampled 12, it is important that you state that these are the 4 that I seen. And when a new auditor is coming and that auditor sees that, oh, this person samples 12 and he sees the 4, and this 4, basically, let us assume the 4 has tag number. This particular tag, and tag has overdue dates. And the auditor looks at it and says, oh, of a truth, this one is with overdue date for it. This calibration has not been done. Or when the calibration was done, maybe the containment was done. Oh, calibration was done after the auditor has submitted his report or has submitted his finding. Only the sampled evidence supports the NC. Okay, so we move to the 7th principle, which is risk-based approach. Focus effort where it matters most. Every organization has what we refer to as a risk appetite. That means the level of risk that the organization can take, the level of risk the organization is willing and able to contain. So the risk-based approach shapes audit program planning, individual audit prioritization, and how conclusions are contextualized. This is new in the ISO 2018 version. So now, when we say, oh, risk-based approach, you don't spend much more time, you don't spend much audit time, audit resources, audit hours on a process that is considered low risk to the organization. Now, risk appetite differs from organizations to organization. And risk treatment options varies from organization to organization. Now, in my slide, I say, how does risk-based thinking applies? Say program level. High risk area gets more audit time, deeper sampling, and specialist expertise. Now, organizations have documented that this process is high. Or don't let us even go to process, for instance. Now, let us go to what organization document as high, as medium, and as low. Let us assume organization A says, oh, any risk that is going to crystallize and then, oh, sorry, I guess it's network. If you're not hearing me properly, I guess it's the network. Okay, so any risk that is going to crystallize that will make the organization spend more than, let's say, 1 billion is a critical risk for us. Low risk, even if the risk crystallizes and we are not spending, we have the capacity to take a risk of 1 million. What it means is that processes that can make the organization lose 1 million, they are willing to accept the risk. Say, don't worry, we have the capacity. But process that will make us lose 1 billion, our risk tolerance is not up to that level. We want to reduce it. We don't want it at all. We don't want it to happen. We don't want it to crystallize. And now imagine you as an auditor, you have 3 audit team members plus you equals 4. And you see that there is a process that if there is one single lapse, it could cost the organization 1 billion naira. It could cost you 1 billion naira. And there's another process. If there's a single lapse, it will cost the organization 500,000. Out of the 4 audit team members in your department, the only thing you can do is now to take 3 of your auditing member to go and audit the low risk area. That is not a risk-based approach. That is not how to approach audit. That is against the principle of auditing. But it is technically what that this risk-based approach is technically telling us that, oh, you have 40 members, and there is a single process that when there is a lapse, the organization will lose ₦1 billion, and ₦1 billion is a no-no for the organization. It's high risk for them. You take 3 team members and say three team members, based on your expertise, your experience, go and audit this particular process. If there is need for you to get a technical expert, get it. Ensure that the sampling you are taking is deep enough so that you are going to cross all the T's and dot all the I's. Ensure that we are giving absolute assurance to the organization regarding this particular process, because we cannot afford that this process, we cannot afford a lapse in this process because it's going to cost us much. And you, for the low risk area, one person is much more enough to look at this process area, look at it deeply. We are not saying you should not do your deeper sampling, but one person is okay. So when you use risk-based approach, it helps you to assign duties accordingly. Say planning level, audit plan consider risk to the audit and from the audit on the auditee's operation. Execution level, when new risk emerge during field work, the plan is adjusted immediately. And conclusion level, audit conclusion must reflect the risk environment of the auditee. So when we are going through a risk-based approach is what is going to help us to assign more responsibility, assign more audit time, audit resources to an area that we know that whenever the risk in that area crystallizes, it could cause damage to the organization, higher damage to the organization. Now, a real world scenario here, say a hospital's ISO 9001 program covers 8 departments. Pharmacy has 4 non-conformity last year, plus regulatory investigation. Risk-based approach, pharmacy gets 1 full day versus 2 hours for low risk area, 30 record sample versus 10, and a pharmaceutical quality technical expert assigned to them. Initially, last year, the pharmacy department has 4 non-conformity, and then they now have a regulatory investigation. Note on the regulatory investigation, when regulatory comes to investigate your a particular thing, what it means is that they either have heard or they know that you are not conformance to a particular regulatory requirement, which could one way or the other lead to sanction. Which could one way or the other lead to sanction. Now, you are conducting that same audit this year. What do you do as an auditor? Oh, who understands with the risk-based approach, risk-based thinking in the audit principle? Oh, when you are giving 1 full day of audit, let me use this in hours. Let's say when you are giving 10 full audit hours to the pharmacy department, you are giving 2 hours to the other low risk areas, because you understand that there are issues within this pharmacy department, and if this issue crystallizes, it could cause much more havoc than every other department. So, okay, so say examples of risk an organization may face, which is to be considered by the auditor during audit planning and execution. We have strategic risk, we have operational risk, we have information technology and communication risk, we have regulatory and legal risk, we have financial risk, human resource risk, health and safety environment risk, reputational risk, and business continuity and resilience risk. ISO 19011 key, auditors should consider risk to the organization and risks that may affect the achievement of audit objective when planning and conducting audits. So we're going to this is the end of the class. We're going to ask 1 or 2 scenario questions here. Today we've spoken about quite a number of things, the terms and definition, what an audit is, the types of audits, and then we now dig deep into the 7 principles of auditing according to ISO 19011. So we are going to ask question here. We say Prime Flex Nigeria Limited, Prime Flex Industry Limited, a Nigerian manufacturing company producing plastic packaging material, are undergoing an ISO 9001 internal audit. The company recently secured a major contract with a multinational FMCG company. Mr. Adewale Ogun, the lead auditor, identified a major non-conformance related to lack of control over production records and traceability. During the closing meeting, management expressed concern that issuing a major non-conformance could negatively affect their contract. The audit team later agreed to downgrade the issue to a minor non-conformance without additional objective evidence. Identify the audit principle or principles that have been violated. I want to see your answer in the chat box. For this first scenario question, Mr. Adewale, what audit principles have been violated for them to downgrade a major non-conformance to a minor non-conformance without additional objective evidence? I want to see your response. What do you think? So Adelakun Yemi said integrity. Kalori Charayobami, integrity. Chibuzo said biased. So while bias is not a standout principle, it's a principle of integrity. In the integrity, I'm seeing a lot of integrity. It's more than one. The scenario is more than one. Let me go to the YouTube. Let's see. We have people watching live on YouTube. Integrity, foundation of professionalism have been compromised. Professional judgments. Integrity, Victoria IA from YouTube said integrity. Integrity. I'm seeing a lot of integrity. Wow, good. Good. Okay. We move on. Let's look at another scenario question. Okay, good. Life Care Medical Center was audited by Mr. Chinedu Okafor as a third-party auditor. Mr. Okafor did not disclose that his sister was a senior administrator at the hospital prior to accepting the audit assignment. This relationship became known several months after the audit was completed. Identify the audit principles that has been violated. Mr. Chinedu did not disclose that his senior sister or his sister is a member of the management team, was a senior administrator at the hospital. But later, at the end of the day, after like 3 months of the audit, it was discovered that Mr. Chinedu's sister is a member. What principle has Mr. Chinedu violated? Let's see. Conflict of interest, independence. Independence. John, independence. The Black Boy, independence. I'm seeing a lot of independence on YouTube. What do we have here? Dr. Emmanuel said independence. Abimbola said fairness. Okay, so that's wonderful. That is wonderful. It shows that quite a lot and quite a number of you is following this class. So there are quite a number of scenario questions that we may want to push out, but in the long run, that's one thing that we sometimes, from time to time, there was a time you can just go to the WhatsApp, and then we send out the just questions that is going to trigger, that is going to make you think, even as an auditor, what do you think of this situation? What do you do at this particular point in time? And then in some cases, we come up with few lectures so that we can also appropriately understand quite a number of principles when it comes to auditing, not just the management standard, but also audit in general. So thank you very much for your attendance today. I would like to take questions if there are any, both from YouTube. I'm going to take about 1 or 2 questions because of our time. We still have tomorrow, the same time. We'll continue the class again, 7 p.m. tomorrow, to conclude this class. Okay, so questions is, what is the foundational knowledge or framework required to become an auditor? So I have said this earlier. I said, gone are the days when you need accounting background to become an auditor. This day, it depends on the kind of audit that you want to conduct. We have ISO auditors who, for instance, a lot of you joining this call are already a step ahead to becoming an ISO auditor, because what we are teaching today is guideline for auditing the management system. You understand? So you are already a step ahead. For IT audit, you can say, oh, I want to become an IT auditor. You understand how IT works, you understand the foundation of IT, and then how to audit this IT system. You get? So if you want to be a financial auditor, obviously you need accounting background. Obviously you need accounting knowledge. In fact, recommended you do your ICANN if you are in Nigeria. You do your ACCA if you are outside the country, or you do the regulated this in your country. Things like that. You just need a foundational knowledge on anything that you think you want to audit. A lot of us is conducting an audit and we don't know. A lot of us. It's just because you do not call yourself an auditor. Somebody wants to do something and you sit down, evaluate that and say, you said you are going to do this. You did not do this. What happens? That is an audit, because you have an understanding of what that person wants to do. And you are now using that understanding to ask questions. You are using that documented criteria. Somebody mentioned Enan, yes. So like I have said, you need an understanding of whatever process you want to audit. HSC auditor, you need sometimes you need a certification in HSC. You need occupational health and safety as per ISO. You need 45,001. Yeah, 45,000, and that's Occupational Health and Safety Management System for an HSC. It teaches about occupational hazards and how to avoid it, how to audit it, and the likes. So that is, yeah, can we get the material? ISO 27001. Okay, you said what? ISO 27001 and ISO 19. I need clarification, please. Okay, so the difference between ISO 27001 and ISO 19001 is that ISO 27001 is a standard, while ISO 19011 is a guideline. Now, ISO 19011 is applicable to all other standards. Like I said, guidelines for auditing the management system. Now, 27001 is basically information security management system. It is a standard by ISO that helps you to what? By standard by ISO that deals with information security. And you know, when we are talking about information security, three key things. Three things are very critical: the confidentiality of the information, the integrity of the information, and availability of the information. So this is what ISO 27001 is looking at. And ISO 27001, in fact, anyone who wants to be an IT auditor, most times I always tell them, I say, start with ISO 27001. Because there are about, currently in the new standard 2020, I think we have about 93 controls across 4 different annexes. We have the people control, the organizational control, the technological control, and the physical control. If you put all of these 4 things together and you are able to audit it adequately, you know the relevant question, the appropriate question to ask to confirm that, yes, the information that is being processed by this organization is actually secure. So that is that. I'm trying to look at yeah, can we give material for this course? Yeah, of course. Like I said, if you are part of the WhatsApp, if you are in the WhatsApp chat, feel free to ask for it. A representative of the school is going to get across to you after the basically after the training. So you cannot get it now until when the training is hope we will be able to join, or we'll be able to, yeah. If you cannot join tomorrow on Zoom, what it means is that you should come early. If you cannot join on Zoom tomorrow, you can always, this YouTube link is going to be made available for others to join. So thank you very much for your time. Because of our time, if you have other questions, you can go ahead and ask in the WhatsApp group. Those questions is going to be attended to. I want to appreciate you all for joining and staying up to this time. I understand that a lot of us are coming from work a bit tired one way or the other, but it's also important that we level up our understanding in certain things. Thank you very much, and then enjoy the rest of your day. For those of you who are still working like me, and for those who are already on their bed, have a wonderful night's rest. See you tomorrow, same time. Bye.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
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 Oh, great.
Okay, bye.